So Fox News finally mentioned Matt Gaetz again, and one of their hosts, Kat Timpf, actually had the gall to defend him, saying that the left was overblowing the story and that if anything, the left was being too puritanical in how they've been talking about Matt Gaetz.
It has Matt Gaetz, who is a very polarizing figure. He's a very staunch supporter of Donald Trump, so people either really love him or they really hate him. But I think it's been really interesting. If it is, buying expensive gifts for women and sleeping with them, it's not illegal. That isn't illegal, and we still need to figure out exactly. There are receipts coming in. We still need to figure out more about what happened. But it's been interesting to see some in the media on the left who normally wouldn't be so puritanical about something like that, being very puritanical, and not just following the facts of it. Which, again, it's bizarre, so it's hard to know what those are.
Right. Oddly, just before this all broke, there were a couple of leaked stories saying that Gaetz might resign his House seat to join Newsmax. And then this other thing came out. So, Liz, the media consensus is that the congressman hasn't exactly helped himself with this round of media interviews, especially going on Tucker Carlson's show.
He's a lawyer. He went to law school, and when he came out and specifically said, it's verifiably false that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, of course the media is going to try and tease out legalese in here. Number one, is he just denying that he traveled with her? And why do you call a 17-year-old who's a minor a woman? But putting all of that aside, he went out there to defend himself. Again, we have to wait for these details. I would simply say that you've got a very, as Kat said, a polarizing figure right now who has gone out there and is now exposed in certain cases. There are two things that make this certainly legitimate, though, Howie, as a news story. Number one, it came not from Biden's attorney general, but from Donald Trump's attorney general. If Donald Trump is Batman, Matt Gaetz has been his Robin. Yeah. And so there is that relation. And number two, Kevin McCarthy, the Republican in the House, lead-ranking Republican, is saying if there is more to come and there's an indictment, he will be removed from his House committee.
If there's an
And so you can see her there. She's basically saying, look, people either really like or really hate Matt Gaetz because he's a big Trump guy, and so he's very polarizing. And so when this story broke, a lot of people jumped on it, and they only care because they can use this as a way to effectively get at Donald Trump. But the reality is, all he did was give nice gifts and trips and experiences to women, and in turn he may have slept with some of them, and that's not illegal. So why is the left being so puritanical about this? I thought the left was all about liberation and about doing your own thing, and it's ridiculous, guys, because as the other guest notes later on, not only did Matt Gaetz make himself look like an idiot, and he's literally a lawyer, so he should know better, but he was calling this 17-year-old minor a woman, but they're not women. That's the thing. The first guest says we're talking about women here, but the crux of the story is that some of the people are not women. That's the issue, right? That's the biggest issue here, right? It doesn't matter if you're okay with Matt Gaetz's lifestyle with regard to another adult. You can have a debate about that. The crux of it is that some of these people weren't adults. That's the issue here. It is not puritanical to be worried about that. It is not puritanical. It isn't at all. Remember, Matt Gaetz was the only one that voted against a piece of legislation a few years ago to stop what Matt Gaetz is alleged to have done. Every single other person, Republican and Democrat, voted against it. So it tells me that it's not really Puritanism, but basic human decency. And even if you discount the potential relations with minors, the fact of the matter is, there's other things he's been accused of doing, like using Cash Apps and using Apple Pay to directly exchange money with women. And that is not legal. This is not some sort of arrangement where maybe you take a girl on a nice trip and you buy her a bag and then maybe something happens. And of course, you can't prove that there is a direct causal link. But if you're directly exchanging money with people, that becomes a certain form of industry, the world's oldest industry and profession for that matter. And it isn't legal basically anywhere in the United States. That's what Matt Gaetz is accused of doing. And beyond that, getting beyond the potentially illegal things, it's just the scummy things. Bragging about all of this, setting up competitions with other male lawmakers to see who could score the hottest chicks in politics, basically. Showing pictures to fellow congressmen on the House floor of women. Did he have the permission to do so? Didn't he? We don't know. But it's just all really scummy. none of this is puritanical. It's just wild to me that Fox News, at least the TV side, the website has talked about it a little bit, but since the Tucker Carlson interview, they've basically ignored it since Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning, they briefly mentioned it, until now, where somebody comes on to defend Matt Gaetz and say, really, do you know who's at fault here? The left. It's just ridiculous. I said Fox was done with him, but I guess at least some people at Fox News are really willing to go down on the Matt Gaetz ship.